Kuattend hii workshop ya kuhakikisha kwamba train watu registrars kutoka all over the country kwa mambo ya UPI. This is the first workshop we are training registrars. Tunawajaribu kuwaelezea hii UPI inafanya kazi aje. Na hii UPI ni namba ambayo mtoto akizaliwa anapewa. Ili itakuwa namba yake ya shule, ya primary school, itakuwa namba ya secondary, itakuwa namba ya ID, itakuwa namba ya kipande, itakuwa namba ya NHIF, itakuwa namba ya NSSF, itakuwa namba ya KRA pin. This number will be unique. Na itakuwa pia namba ya mtu akifariki, hiyo ndio namba atatumia kwa certificate yake. So it will be a unique number for the entire life, ama kwa maisha ya mtu. So kwa hivyo leo ni siku muhimu sana kwa sababu serikali yetu tukufu ambayo inaongozwa na Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto imesema kwamba tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu anaweza kupata services ya serikali kutoka portal ya e-Citizen. Na sisi ndio tunajaribu kuimplement hiyo directive ya Rais kuhakikisha kwamba services zote za serikali zimeenda online, na kwamba tunaanza na kuimplement mambo ya UPI, unique personal identifier, ya kupatia watoto namba wakizaliwa, na hiyo namba inakuwa namba ya maisha yao mpaka mwisho.
We have come to that point in time when we now want to see what brought us here. We have gone through a background on the government of Kenya's digital transformation agenda. We have also listened to our colleagues from e-Citizen. We now would like to go through a demo of how far our developers, webmasters have gone in the process of developing this application, the end-to-end system that will facilitate the development of a unique personal identifier.
Registrars, as well as some parties who consume the information that is going to be generated from the civil registry. So my presentation, or how we want to approach this, is in the morning right now in this session. We've been on this journey with the civil registry since 2017, I want to believe. That is when the interest to digitize payments specifically came up. 2018, we started partially. 2019, Nairobi County went live for all payments. And I think Nairobi County can confirm at this point, on a live dashboard, if they want to check how much revenue has been raised by the department, they don't need to call us. They have a dashboard that allows them to see real-time payments. Okay, so very quickly, this is a civil registry e-system. How you're going to brand it is entirely on you. But this is just a slide to help me show you what we intend to do in this project. So the purpose of this document is to provide a step-by-step guide on how to register a current birth online through the Civil Registration Service platform. Next is we identified the actors that ideally are involved in the civil registry ecosystem. These could not be the way you identify them, but for the purpose of digitization and mapping how the services are meant to be delivered, we separated them into three main categories. Three main categories. One is what we are calling the front-end users. Front-end users are the individuals who are parties of an event. So where a birth or death has occurred, there is an individual whose record is being created, ideally. Then the second one under the front-end users is the registration assistant. Registration assistant, I know you know them. These are the hospital facilities, the chiefs and sub-chiefs, or assistant chiefs, okay? So they will have a front-end dashboard where they can request for services. They're not able to see anything that is happening on what we are calling the back-end. Back-end is the second category, which comprises of the registrars. Who are you? So the registrars will be 100% in control or in charge of everything that happens on the back-end. The individuals and the registration assistants are in charge of what happens on the front end. We are clear so far? Okay, then there's the third category of users who are the third-party beneficiaries. So you generate records that are very important and very vital in the entire ecosystem of government service delivery. So immigration needs your records. Ministry of Health needs your records. There are departments like insurance agencies, private sector, that need your records. There are ministries, foreign affairs, they need your records. So that is the third classification of a user who doesn't interact with the system directly, but will have an API or a link that allows them to consume the information that you generate for the purpose of validating or verifying the records that you create. So it will not require any intervention on your part. It will just be government-to-government agreement on what the process should look like and the amount of information that should be displayed to these third-party users, okay? So we don't have a scenario where immigration is asking for a physical verification of a certificate. This is data that will have been generated and will be shared to these MDAs. MDAs is ministries, departments, agencies, and agencies, plural, okay? We are supposed to add counties to it. I think MDCAs somehow became more familiar to us. Okay, so remember, I will use the words front end and back end frequently. When I say front end, I'm referring to somebody who interacts with the system from the public. The system has a public view and a private view, okay? Perfect. So let me go to the service now. So this is a test environment. If you go to CRS Dev, if you have your phone right now, crsdev.speciflow.com. That is the test environment we have exposed to you. You will be able to use it moving forward for the purpose of acquainting yourself with the system before we prepare for the 1st of March launch. Sawa sawa. So crsdev.speciflow.com. So as an individual, like I mentioned, everyone who wants to interact with this ecosystem requires an individual registration. That means on the portal, which is eCitizen. How many of us have interacted with eCitizen? The driving license you have, the vehicle you own, the land you own, the company you have or you know about, or the business, all those are being posted on eCitizen. So in line with the digitization mandate of the government to digitize 5,000 services, there is also the requirement to host those services in one unified dashboard, which is eCitizen. So when we are done with this process, the day we go live, CRS, the national system, will also be hosted on the eCitizen dashboard, okay? In that dashboard, you are required to register one time, only one time. Every department within the eCitizen ecosystem has a private domain, okay? So backend yenu will not be accessed by immigration. You are just hosted on a single sign-on platform. Single sign-on just means with the same credentials, you are able to sign on to different portals, which in this context are government portals. We're together? Perfect. So for those who don't have eCitizen accounts, this is how to create one. So you have the option to sign in and you have the option to sign up to create an account. On account creation, there are 4 categories of account users. The first is a Kenyan citizen. By a Kenyan citizen, we mean you are above the age of 18, have obtained a national identification document. In an instance where those who did not figure it out died from hunger. So we need to take it as a responsibility. An email address is a free thing to set up. So email address, phone number, and an ID number. That's what I require you to remember. The second category is a foreign resident. This is a foreigner who has been given some sort of permit by immigration, Foreign National Registration Services, to reside in this country for a long period of time within some conditions. So they are issued with an alien identification, which I think some of you have seen. The third category of user is a visitor. This is somebody who does not have any document issued by the government of Kenya. The documents they have could have been issued by a foreign government, or they are still processing their asylum. Whatever reference they have that uniquely identifies them, they create an account as a visitor. What they require to create an account as a visitor is any sort of identification reference. We're together. So you could be having the passport. If it's somebody from Tanzania, their ID number in Tanzania. If it is a refugee, asylum seeker, they have a reference number that's issued to them by the UN. That's in the letter while the asylum seeking process is still ongoing. They have that. And an email address. The third category of users is the business. So now there are businesses that would want to acquire your services. For example, for the validation of birth certificates for private sector, insurance, private providers, and private schools. I'm just giving examples. We can have some services accessible to the private sector within this ecosystem. We're together so far? Okay. How to create an account is you click on create an account. The information you're expected to enter will be displayed to you. So ID number, first name, you validate, you enter your email address, your phone number, and you input your password. Where it is a foreigner, the first field is the passport number, and remember I said, or any form of identification reference. So if it's asylum seekers or anybody who's being accommodated by the UN, there's a reference number they have. Then there is the first name, last name, other names, gender, their email address, their nationality. So this is how to set up an account. So the precondition is any record you will create will be accessible through an individual. Yani, record ikikreatiwa pale kwa hospitali ya mama ama ya baba ama ya informant. Anytime you enter an ID number in any field, that record is automatically displayed in the e-citizen account of this individual. So akitaka kujua birth certificate yake imefika wapi, they don't need to call you. They will get an SMS and they will see that task or that record in their e-citizen account. Okay? So we continue. You've created an account, you want to log in now. I will log into my account, my full name will be displayed there. Just to confirm I'm the one who's logging in. On the live environment, there will be a one-time passcode that will be sent to any user accessing the Civil Registry Department, so that we confirm at the time that you're logging in, you are the person who's actually intentionally doing it. Okay, so I come to continue. This is what CRS is going to look like. You'll have your full name there, your date of birth, and we are working forward and backward simultaneously. By forward, we mean the records that are being generated from today, moving forward, will register them. Then we are also seeking ways to accommodate the records that you've generated in the past. The ones that have been digitized and the ones that have not been digitized. Ideally, at the end of this journey, even I was born decades ago, I will be able to apply for my certificate through the e-citizen platform. What I will do is, it will be mapped to my birth certificate here. On my birth certificate, I'll have the option to view only the records I am permitted to view. And when I click on download, if it is a paid service, I will pay whatever amount the Civil Registry will agree upon and then download my e-certificates. So remember, we are working forward and also working backwards simultaneously. Then, there is individual up here. So remember I said there are actors. There is an individual who's a person, and then there's the registration assistant who acts within some entity. I'll show you that. So take note of, here, when I click on it, the only item I have there is an individual. On my individual dashboard, I'll have services. These are the services I am allowed or permitted to access as an individual. Zile ambazo siwezi fanya mimi kama mtu binafsi will not be displayed on my interface. Then there is certificates. Certificates in I am a next of kin in a death certificate. All those certificates, regardless of who has applied for them. Tunaelewana? As long as at the point the record was being created, niliwekwa kama mama, itaonekana pale. Niliwekwa kama next of kin in a death certificate, it will be displayed there. Sawa sawa? Okay. At the top here, on top of services, is where we will accommodate any notifications. So if there's a progress that is being attained in any service or presentation. We're together so far? Okay. So this is the front-end dashboard of an individual. Now we go to the next part of this journey. How do we add a hospital facility? Or how do we add an assistant chief? I'm moving from the front end. Take note of how it looks like. The design is very different. I'm going to the back end. This is the back end. The back end is where I mentioned this is the home of registrars. Nobody else in this ecosystem will have access to the back functions. So this is what the back end looks like. In summary, the back end has your name here. There's what we're calling a dashboard. Dashboard just gives an overview of the performance of the department. National, see here, there's submissions today, all-time submissions. Those are what records have been created. So this is a back-end dashboard. Then there's going to county and all that. So this is just the back-end dashboard. So for the back-end dashboard, you'll have this, submissions today. You're also able to see applications by, let's say, death certificate applications. How many certificates have been requested for today or so far? Okay? It live. You don't need to call anyone to get this information. We will not be required to intervene in any way. Then the next component is applications. Applications is where all applications submitted. Oh, please note, if I leave my screen unattended to whatever limit you want us to increase it. Okay, so on application, this is where all applications submitted to you are converged. Whatever place this application has come for, whatever application is coming in will be converged here. On these applications, not everyone will see them. Some of you will only see tasks. Some of you will see all applications. So where you don't see something, clarify with your system administrator on why you're not seeing it moving forward. If you want to generate reports, for example, of random reports of birth certificate applications, you want all applications that are on the certificate generated stage. You will just come here, click on filter, then select the service you want. All the service will be listed there. Then select the stage that you want to generate this report for. If you want to generate report based on a specific field, like you only want certificates where children were abandoned, you will select that form field from here. Then you indicate the field value and you apply the filter. So I don't have any applications I have right now, but when I apply this filter, all the applications that certificates have been generated will be displayed in this manner. If you want to export this as a CSV file, you're able to do that. We are together? Sawa, sawa. Then, on applications also, there are certain services that can only be initiated from the back end. Example of such a service is the registrars are responsible for onboarding hospital facilities. So you are the one who, the hospitals will come to you, or you'll do an exercise where you onboard all the hospital facilities. How you access that is some of you will have this option for new application. You've seen it. At the top here, there'll be new applications. So any service that is not meant to be consumed by the public directly, that you want to control as a back-end function, the form can be filled by a registrar from the back end, and the front-end user will see it. The next item is tasks. This is where I need you to take note. Anything you'll be performing in this ecosystem will be approached as a task. Tasks allow us to, one, generate reports on what you're doing, how well you're doing, because I know you're going to do very well. Number two, it also allows us to separate all the approvals to the sub-county level, such that watu wa Nairobi watashughulikia Nairobi, watu wa Mombasa washughulikie Mombasa. So anytime you come in, we are able to tell what is pending in the system, who has picked what, is working on what, okay? At what stage is this task? Sawa sawa. And si ati lazima utanipigia simu. What you will do is, queue is where every task that is available for you as the person who's logged in to work on will be displayed. And the tasks come in a first in, first out. Yani, ile record iliingia ya kwanza, ndio lazima ushughulikie kabla utafute ile ya 200. Except when you pick a task, it goes to your inbox. Yamanisha, a task can only be picked by one registrar at any given time. We're together? Okay. The third item is corrections. In services where, like for example, I want to re-register, I want to add the father's name. In services where the individual requests for service from you, na unaona kuna kitu ambayo hajakufanyia, there's something that is missing, you are able to send that application back to the user with instructions of A, B, C, and D is missing. They will see it. We'll also send an SMS. When they make the correction, itakuja automatically to your inbox. Sawa sawa, because you understand the history of this request. Number 3 is completed. Wewe ambaye umelogin kwa wakati huu, umekamilisha tasks ngapi? Then the last one is processing. Wale ambao unafanya nao kazi, wanashughulikia tasks zipi? Those who you work with, what are they working on right now? Sawa sawa. Aye. Then there is appointments. We are activating appointments for re-registration, where the father's name is requested to be added. The 2 consenting adults have to come, you vet them, you approve, then the certificate is issued, right? So we don't want a scenario where people just walk into your office. They will be able to use the system to schedule an appointment with you. Then you can generate an appointment report of, today, how many people are we expecting in Nairobi? How many people are we expecting to honor appointments in Kisumu? And we can limit the appointments by the office, your working hours, and your capacity. So if Nairobi can attend to 20 interviews, Mombasa can do 10, we will handle those in that manner. We'll set the system to limit the appointments in that manner. The next item is billing. Any payment done on eCitizen, on this platform, you will never need to call anyone to sort you out. What you do is, with that invoice, on this ecosystem, you can check whether a payment has been received or not. So, every invoice generated will have a bill reference number. Next item is your clients. Clients is, mtu ametembea tu kwa ofisi, anasema ali apply for birth certificate. With their name, you can check. With their ID, you can check. With an email address, you are able to check if there is any request.